We're looking at revenue, we're looking at collaboration, at royalties, at ticketing, at transparency with contracts. One of the most exciting bits is ownership of digital goods. This can be music, it can be visual, anything from an album cover to virtual merchandise. Kings of Leon, one thing they did was like sell a front stage seat past the VIP for life, which is really cool because that offers like a long-term engagement and value, and it can be resold. So the other thing is maybe if you sell an NFT to like a digital shirt, maybe like every time you show that digital shirt, you can get like a discount at this band's show in the real world. So you have this not only like digital economy and relationship, but also like this one that crosses over with a real world that attracts them to come back to your show to have more benefits over time.
What's going on? Welcome to The New Music Business. I'm your host, Ari Herstand, author of How to Make It in the New Music Business. The book, 3rd edition, coming, it looks like, get this, January 2023. The editing process is quite extensive, but look out for that when it comes. Pre-orders are starting actually fairly soon. My guest today, well, get ready to have your mind blown, because if you don't know anything about the metaverse, and this is the episode for you, or even if you do know a lot about the metaverse, this is also the episode for you. But don't be intimidated or alarmed, because we start from the place of, I don't know anything, and this is where the conversation begins. And it's really exciting, the use cases that Anne today explained and revealed and just got my mind spinning with. So Anne McKinnon, she is a co-founder of Ristband. Now, Ristband is spelled R-I-S-T-B-A-N-D, Ristband without the W. You can find them on all the socials and the website as well. And they are a music-focused metaverse that was being developed right now. They just launched. Co-founded by Anne and Roman Rappick, who is an independent touring musician. At the core of their foundation and their mission, it's all about musicians and artists. And I first saw Anne at South by talk on a panel about the metaverse, and I thought it was really interesting what they were working on. So she is here today to help you understand what the metaverse is for musicians and use cases in the music industry, which are very exciting. This is the next frontier. We are very early to the metaverse. Yes, we've heard, I'm sure you've probably read about the concerts that were put on by Marshmello, Lil Nas X, or Ariana Grande in quote-unquote the metaverse. Not quite a real live concert, but we're getting there. It's a very exciting future that's coming. This will just get you thinking and hopefully get you pretty excited about what's to come. Will give musicians many more ways to monetize their audience, their music, make more money really at the end of the day from your craft and from your music. And so I think it puts a lot of the control back in the hands of the artist, which I'm always all for. The control, the freedom, and the money. You can find all of us that make the show happen at Ari's Take on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me at Ari Herstand on Instagram and Twitter. You can find Ristband, find them on Instagram and on their Discord server. We're going to link that in the show notes, links to that. Please like, follow, subscribe, however you listen to this show right now. Just hit that follow or subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those really help if you're listening on YouTube. Love to read your comments. So after you listen to the episode, if you got any questions or just want to leave a comment, please up thumb the video. Love reading those comments. And visit aristake.com. Get on that email list. I'll let you know about all future episodes, things that are happening in the new music business, when the book's coming out, and all of that good stuff. All right, let's kick into the show. Anne McKinnon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ari, for having me today.
Of course. And where are you coming to me from today?
Oh, actually, I'm in Canada. Usually I'm in Paris, but my big brother got married over the weekend, so currently.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll let him know.
You're usually in Paris.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I discovered you from South by this past year. I saw your panel on the metaverse, and I've been trying to catch myself up on all things, I guess, across the board, crypto, NFTs, and now metaverse. And, you know, I guess, Anne, you have the distinct honor and pleasure of being the first guest on the New Music Business podcast to discuss the metaverse. We've had quite a few about NFTs. We've had quite a few about, a lot of other topics, but none discussing the metaverse. So I don't know if you're excited or not to dig into that, but we will, of course, get to Wristband. Because Wristband's mission was very inspiring to me. So why don't we actually start there? If you just want to give us the 30,000 foot view of what Wristband is and all about, and then we're going to go deep into the metaverse, because as the first guest to discuss the metaverse, my audience is not super familiar with it by and large. I'm not super familiar with it. I'm not a gamer. I have only seen kind of experienced it via aftermath YouTube videos. So I'm excited to just get my mind blown by you today, and I think everyone else is as well. So so let's talk Wristband. What is Wristband?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm really excited to talk about the metaverse, because if I'm the first one, I can define what it is. So,
yes, you can define
awesome.
what it is. That's all on you today.
Yeah. But yeah, Wristband, I guess I want to go back a little bit, because I think the story of where we came from is actually really important to why we created Wristband.
Great.
So my co-founder is an indie artist, and my background is working in tech, and I was in Los Angeles before the pandemic changed everything, working with clients out there. But in 2017, I went to Paris and I covered this all-night tech and art festival called Nuit Blanche. And at that festival, one of the most amazing things I discovered was Mirror Shot, so indie electronic band performing a live virtual reality concert. And what this looks like is a live show. You go into a venue. The band is physically present there. As a little audience, you sit down, maybe in a group of 30 at that time, and you get a headset. There's beautiful projection mapping on the walls. There's fans that are circulating different scents. And when you're in the headset, what those headsets have is a pass-through camera. And that pass-through camera enables you to be able to look around physically in the venue, and you can see your friends. So it's not like you're being totally cut off. So it's one of the first shows I ever saw someone with a VR headset on reach out to their friend, or try and point to something that they might not see in their headset. So that was amazing. And then during the show, when the artist comes on and starts to play, that artist can control the journey of the audience through these virtual worlds. So just like we had, I suppose, you have a song and a performance, and you have a music video. This is almost a new medium to experiment with that's mixing realities.
Okay.
And the idea is bringing game engines, or the idea of worlds and narrative, into a live performance. And that was something I thought was really special, especially coming from tech. I often see headsets on little tables and booths at conference centers.
Sure.
So this was special. And that's when his label, I was introduced to them, Believe at the time, in management, and they invited me on board to support with tech partnerships.
Believe they are a distribution company. They're the parent company of TuneCore, and they're not technically a record label, but they are just a distribution company. They don't keep ownership of the masters and just take a commission and offer label services. Okay, continue.
Cool. Yeah, and All Points would be the label that we're on under Believe, so distribution.
Got it.
And
so All Points used Believe for distribution. Okay, cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
And yeah, so that was kind of my journey into music, which was, I had no idea how complicated it was. I guess it's the same if you're coming from music and looking at tech, which it is a lot of what we're working on, which is bringing the two together. And me having that experience of diving deep into the music industry for the first time, I really understood the challenge of approaching something completely new. And we were invited in, 2020, to go to South by Southwest in March. And my co-founder had just released his album and had this tour that was going to happen across 5 different countries after South by. And then the world was canceled, or the live industry as we know it was COVID canceled. So we hadn't started the company at that point, but we did have a lot of people reaching out to us and saying, hey, my tour is being canceled, or the venue's closed down, or I'm a manager, or I'm stage and I'm out of work. Can you help? So we never ever thought we would launch a startup. that we thought like the metaverse, hey, that's really complicated. But
Yeah.
we were experimenting a lot and trying out different platforms and learning a lot of like what was missing and what was needed, what worked, what was hilarious, what was devastating, and it really or what was meaningful by bringing like smaller communities together when we're doing our prototype events. And that eventually led to Wristband, which is we're looking at the opportunity that the Web3 and Metaverse presents. And that's bringing in new audiences, new demographics, connecting up the live industry with this whole new opportunity of not just selling tickets in the real world, but also opening that up to people all around the world. So I think the whole point is like not to replace what's so special about music and live experiences, but to offer something new and to reach more fans. And I think this is what we're learning about a lot today in this new medium, and have a lot of awesome partners. And that's Wristband, I guess, in a nutshell, and I can describe it more what it looks like.
Great. That really cool journey. Now, I'm curious, back in 2020, when you were asked to speak at South by, was that to discuss the augmented VR live concert experience that you experienced in 2017? Was Meerschot going on a tour with those what is it, the goggles, or what do you call them? Was that like kind of what that tour was to look like, where they would hand out these what do you call them, augmented virtual reality? It's not just virtual reality, it's not just augmented reality, it's like it's kind of both, right?
You can call them headsets, VR goggles. They both kind of pass in the XR industry.
Was that the initial concept, and then you kind of pivoted once COVID hit, and then you're like, okay, we can't do these live experiences. How can we just do this like VR experience?
Yeah, we've always wanted to do both and not just one or the other. So Roman Rapak, who's my co-founder and the frontman of Meerschot, just to let people who are listening know, he's kind of like our guinea pig for all the experience we have with Wristband. So his band is still touring. In 2020, we were actually invited, so he was invited, his band, to perform at South by across the music festival, the video, a film, and the interactive festival. But of course, that was canceled. So I wasn't actually speaking at that time, but I was going to attend and help out. And Blake Kamerdiner and James Miner, who curate the XR and music side of the festival, since 2020 was canceled, we participated in their online events over those 2 years, and they've been super supportive. And a lot of folks like them who kind of understand this emerging industry and the importance of giving indie artists an opportunity have really made a huge difference to our team.
Awesome. So that's a great story and journey. And I love that the company is co-founded by a working musician. As a working musician myself, I'm always with, on the business side too, I always appreciate when any company at their core has a musician to bring that musician's empathy to what you're doing. And far too often in the music business, there are companies founded by tech people that don't have any musicians involved, and they look right past the artists and right past the musicians and don't really understand the true pain points that musicians deal with. And the fact that your co-founder, Roman Rapek, is a working musician, understands the real pain points, understands what it's like to tour, to sell tickets, to sell merch, to try to get people to follow them on socials and stream their music, and all of that. Now, okay, let's pause on Wristband for a second, because this is a good opportunity to explain the metaverse just from people like myself who really have no idea what it is. So I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. So I think probably most people who are listening are familiar with the idea of like games and stories and virtual worlds. And in a way, the metaverse is an extension of that. So the idea of the metaverse is it's that digital reality that you can be fully immersed in. Then that's when you put the VR headset on, you're essentially in a synthetic reality or fully digital reality. But there's also different levels of the metaverse. So that's fully immersed. Then augmented reality is overlaying digital layers on the real world. So when we think of Snapchat, that's actually augmented reality because you have filtered digital content over the real world. Once we have glasses, it's going to be much more practical.
Sure.
You can like have that help you with directions and all that. And then
So I could be
also,
looking at, instead of having to pull my phone out with Google Maps to try to figure out where the coffee shop that I'm going to, I'll put on glasses and the directions will essentially be on the street in front of me. I'll look at an intersection, and on the intersection, I will think that the cross streets will be written on the actual physical street 50 yards in front of me. But if I took the glasses off, they won't actually be written on the street. It's just, that's the augmented reality part you're talking about, right?
yeah, that's a great
Okay.
example.
And I could like look at the coffee shop and potentially see like the 4-star Yelp review that one might pop up right on my screen without having to pull my phone out, and could, look, that's augmented reality where I've seen the real world with augmentation.
Yeah,
Okay.
or if Ari's got a show on today, they might be walking by a venue they'd never heard of before, be like, "Hey, Ari's got a show tonight." So
Sick.
that's
Love
another
that.
great application.
Cool. Okay, so that's augmented reality, AR. But we're talking more. So Metaverse is more in the VR realm. Is that right? Virtual reality.
I think that the full extent of the metaverse is virtual reality, but I also
Okay.
think that we can experience the metaverse in different ways.
Okay.
So the metaverse is essentially 3D, but I can play a 3D game on my computer when my avatar is running around a world. But then you put a
Ah.
headset on and you're like in that world, and I can like go on the same one on my phone, and that's another little portal into the metaverse. So I think we can experience it in many ways. But definitely the full immersion and the being able to transition between realities is, I think, the way it's going to evolve. So this idea of a persistent digital layer that we can transition between on our day-to-day lives.
Interesting. So is it simply just, I mean, it sounds like it can be multiple things. It sounds like it can just be a game that I play on my phone, and that can be considered the metaverse. But it could also be if I put on a VR headset and I'm looking around and I'm actually like, I've done the Oculus thing once a couple years ago. I played a game, and that was a wild experience where I'm like jumping up and down and ducking and all of that stuff and trying, and I could not see my surroundings or the people around me, so I had to be very careful about that. But you're saying it can be either or all together. Is that right? Like both are considered the metaverse, whether I'm in like playing Fortnite on my computer, that could be theoretically considered the metaverse, or I'm playing a game on my phone where I have a digital avatar that's running through a little game like world, that's the metaverse. Or if I put on a whole headset and I'm looking around and experiencing this whole thing, that's also the metaverse. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think they're all parts of the metaverse. A
Okay.
great Web 2 example is if we think of the internet, and like the
Yes.
internet can be, you can think of that as like metaverse equivalent. And then
Okay.
we have each web page is almost like a little part of the metaverse or part of the
Ah,
internet. So we have different different parts that make up the entire metaverse.
got it.
And I think some people might argue with me that Fortnite is a part of the metaverse, but I really think we're building the infrastructure today, and that there's no doubt that Fortnite's going to become something that is a fully immersive in 3D and AR over the years.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. So, okay, that's a good foundation in understanding that. I mean, I think of it as like, okay, how is this any different from just playing a video game? Is it any different from playing a video game as to where we're at right now in 2022?
In terms of the metaverse, and is it
Yeah,
the
is
same
the
as playing a
metaverse
video game?
just a video game?
Yeah, this is where it gets great because I know you speak a lot about music business.
Yes.
And I think when we're looking at entertainment, I think this is one of the biggest markets of the metaverse right now.
Okay.
Especially during the pandemic, we saw a huge boom in people playing online and communicating online. And when we look at social media, and I know artists have to spend a lot of time on social media, it might not necessarily be something that they love to do. But that's kind of you're not embodied, and you can't like express yourself in like 2 or 3 line tweets the way you would when you meet someone face to face. So when we see people in Wristband or a part of the metaverse talking to one another, this is almost like a new type of social experience. And looking at from Web 2, which is like Twitter and Facebook, even I guess Spotify, and then looking at Web3, which is being back in an embodied form, being able to have these really intuitive conversations that feel a lot more organic to the way we're supposed to interact with one another.
Can we just break down what is Web 1, what is Web 2, what is Web 3?
Yeah, so Web 1 was like HTML, so like typing code into a computer and like having that input output. Web 2 is when we started to have like Twitter and Facebook, so your social media websites, almost when Shopify came along. And then when we're talking about Web 3, we're talking about blockchain. So that's really about things being tracked and ownership being tracked on the blockchain. That's the difference of where we're going. And Metaverse doesn't necessarily mean it's Web 3, but you can have a Web 3 Metaverse.
Okay, so just if I'm getting this correct, Web 1 was the start of the internet when we had websites where it wasn't really you weren't necessarily interacting with other people on the internet as much. It was really just, I'm visiting a website. It was, it was only as active as you made it, because you would have to choose the website to visit, and you'd be reading articles or even watching videos. That's still Web 1 theoretically, or I guess?
I think you put it better than I did there.
Okay, and then Web 2, got it. So then Web 2, you're saying, is like when social media came to be, because now we are interacting with each other on the internet. It's alive, and we know that social media is very alive. The algorithms have a life of its own, essentially, at this point. And I always say that the most powerful gatekeeper in the music industry right now is not a person, it's the TikTok algorithm. And so that is Web 2, where it's straight up social media, which is now controlling everything. And so now Web 3, we're getting into blockchain. That's a technology. And so blockchain is a technology, and there are cryptocurrencies famously that are built using blockchain technology. Ethereum, blockchain technology, the Ether is built, the ETH currency is built on the Ethereum blockchain, as are many NFTs. But some NFTs exist on other blockchain technology, like Quincy Jones Company has one of, and that is a environmentally friendly NFT company that's built on an environmentally friendly blockchain using proof of stake versus proof of work. So it's environmentally friendly in that. We won't get into the technicalities of what proof of stake versus proof of work. That's for a totally different conversation. But regardless, that's Web 3. And so Metaverse, I guess you're saying, if I'm understanding this correctly, when we're talking about just like gaming and stuff like that, Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, all of that existed in a Web 2, more or less, just like on the internet, and also just in a gaming environment off blockchain. That's not quite Web 3. But you're saying Metaverse could be in the Web 3 realm, because if it uses the blockchain technology and there are like NFTs involved, or there are public transactions on the blockchain, and because a lot of oftentimes various metaverse universes, or universes that could be considered within the metaverse, are using blockchain technology and cryptocurrency for transactions. That's more or less why we're in the Web 3 realm. Did I get all that correct?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, that's awesome.
Great.
And it's super interesting about this question about, like, I guess anyone who's using technology as a part of performance or as a part of an experience, they're always asking, what value does that add? And it's super interesting with the example of Roblox, because a lot of their users are under 13. Mm-hmm. So it might not actually make sense for them to become a Web3 platform, because then you're talking about banking and ID and like accounts, which if you're under 13 and you're living at home and you're not, I guess, of a certain age, that might be a challenge. And then on the other hand, you have Fortnite, and Fortnite's challenge with Web3 at the moment, because the technology is getting better every day, is they have so many transactions happening every single moment that if they put that on the blockchain, it would cause this huge slowdown of the network speeds. So the technology is maturing. It has amazing use cases, especially in music and the creator economy. And again, like briefly touching on Wristband, I think we're looking at really unlocking the experience economy, where artists can be rewarded for their work. and tapping into that creative pool and energy that exists but hasn't been rewarded to date.
Okay, let's dig into that because that's the most exciting part of everything. Of course, we're all, most of us, well, pretty much everyone listening right now is in the music industry. Most of us are artists ourselves. So talk to me about that. I want to know, how is this going to benefit artists across the board?
There are a lot of ways that it can benefit artists, and there's, I guess, a couple different ways. We're looking at revenue, we're looking at collaboration, at royalties, at ticketing, at transparency with contracts. So there's many different ways. I guess there's some examples that exist right now is when an artist releases a ticket in Wristband, they can almost set up that like code beforehand. So they could say, okay, this is the ticket. I'm going to have 50% goes to one party, 50% goes to the other party. Maybe that's band members. And that's all agreed beforehand. And then afterwards unlocks that, I guess, money that's being put in hold and it gets released to the appropriate parties. So that's one way it can have a lot of transparency. But I think one of the most exciting bits is ownership of digital goods or assets. And this can be music, it can be visual, so anything from an album cover to virtual merchandise to, let's say, an artist has a special car that people can drive around and wristband with. The ownership of that asset and the ability to say, hey, this is mine, and to receive 100% of that value. And then when they sell it, they can also have royalties. So let's say they sell that car for $100, but they get 20%. So they keep $20 every time that car's next time that car is sold. If it's sold for $1,000, then they get to keep $200 during the future transaction.
So that's essentially an NFT, right?
Exactly.
So okay, so that's really interesting. So people can actually, okay, this is a real use case. This is I just got chills. I'm like, all right, this is a real use case of NFTs in not the real world, but in the metaverse world, where I understand what you're just saying is like I could drive a car around in the metaverse that is essentially an NFT that I own, and everyone can see that I own it because it's on the blockchain and there's a public record of my ownership of this. They can see that this car came from it is an artist's car. So let's say it's the artist tour bus. Let's just go that route, and it's like sure. So let's say the tour bus that the artist that let's say Harry Styles tour bus is driving around in this tour bus, and then he decides he wants to sell it as an NFT. Somebody buys it. So now let's say I buy it. So now I'm driving the Harry Styles tour bus around the metaverse. And so Harry got paid for that. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'll sell it to somebody. And let's say I bought it for, let's say I bought it for 1 ETH. So, a couple, or wherever that's at right now, a couple like $1,000 or something like that. And then I sell it. Let's say I'll sell it for 1.2 ETH. So I'll make a little profit on that. But what you're saying is that Harry actually will get paid every time I sell it because he can designate, I'm going to make 20% off of every transaction every time the car is sold. Harry's going to get that 20%. Is that, or whatever it is? Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think this, so you're talking about, we're looking at the wristband here, saying people like to play for different reasons. So whether that's to go in and to, attend a music experience, maybe someone will go in just to drive the Harry Styles bus. And if they're going to make it like their full-time job driving his bus, and maybe charging like a ticket price to get a tour on his bus as they drive around Wristband.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Maybe that's a built-in utility. So then Harry Styles is also taking a little percentage of those tickets he's selling to get a ride on the Harry Styles bus. Whoa. So there's these really cool economies that can take place around an artist's work and like creating an artist's world that I think we haven't seen everything that's possible. And I think one of the biggest challenges I guess teams are facing today is how to engage that audience once you've sold an NFT. And so we're talking about the long-term value of it, or what does it actually bring to that audience or consumer. I think it was Kings of Leon. One thing they did was like sell a front stage seat past the VIP for life, which is really cool because that offers like a long-term engagement and value, and it can be resold. So the other thing is maybe if you sell an NFT to like a digital shirt, maybe like every time you show that digital shirt, you can get like a discount at this band's show in the real world. So you have this not only like digital economy and relationship, but also like this one that crosses over with a real world that attracts them to come back to your show to have more benefits over time.
That's great. I mean, right. And with the NFTs, like you said, Kings of Leon released a limited number of NFTs, and some of them were it was for their album in 2020. And some of them were tied to physical experiences. So you could redeem this digital NFT token. That's redundant. You could redeem this digital NFT for the front row tickets, and whoever was in possession of the digital NFT could redeem it at a future concert. And so that's a way. And you remove scalpers from that because you can't scalp the NFT. It's a digital asset. And there's only a limited number of them. You can't make them yourself, and you can only redeem them based on it's very clearly tracked on the blockchain, so everybody can see that. So it's a way that, I mean, I totally get how you can sell virtual tickets in the future on the blockchain, because those can't be scalped either. And if they're resold, which is great, finally the artist can get some of that resale value, which we're not really seeing when they're resold on StubHub these days. So let's talk more. I mean, give me some more examples within the metaverse of how artists, like, we haven't even touched on concerts. I'm curious to know, like, you've said tickets a few times, but talk to me about like how concerts look in the metaverse.
Yeah, I think when we're looking at every medium, we're understanding also that there are different things and require different approaches.
Okay.
Like setting up a live show again, or performing a music video. They're completely two different things, and they're going to be consumed in two different ways. So exactly what you said earlier on, which is a lot of companies approaching music metaverses or experience metaverses are led by tech leaders. Mm-hmm. And I think when we're looking at the music lovers, of people who love to go to events, and there's this whole ritual of going to an event that that's a part of the excitement and hype and enjoyment, like even lining up or like getting slightly dehydrated during the show. That's all kind of fun. So when we look at creating that ritual around Wristband, and I think the approach to virtual concerts is it's super boring to take a 2D screen and put it in a 3D world and say, hey, like walk your avatar over there and just like watch this screen. So
I think we are all well past and very over the live stream concerts and kind of the, going live experience that we had to, suffer through by default because there was nothing else during the pandemic and while we were quarantining. And so, yeah, it was nice when there was nothing else to do. And there is a charm to that with like interacting with the chatbot. And that's like, that is what I discovered when I really like had my aha moment with Twitch. It was just like, oh, Twitch is not just putting the physical concert on the screen and sitting back and watching that. Because, like, all right, I could watch a concert on YouTube. How is, people are trying to sell tickets to those things. I'm like, how is that any different? But then when I started to watch artists perform on Twitch, they didn't perform like they were performing a concert on stage at a music venue. They were interacting with the audience via the chat box. The audience was interacting with each other and with the artist. They were essentially enhancing everybody's experience by like sending a tip, which then appeared as like a jumping bunny on the screen that the artist saw and everybody saw in front of the artist's face. And so it was like this fully interactive concert experience. I'm like, oh, that's different. Like, that's cool and interesting. But it was still, it's still like 2D. I wasn't part in the concert. I was in the chat box, and I could like, send an emote by sending them a tip. But I could see those are like steps in this direction. So talk to me more about like what this fully realized version is inside the metaverse.
You bring up a great point, which is like defining a virtual concert. And when we look at, watching TV or streaming on Twitch or like chatting on YouTube, all of this is essentially streaming. So we have to think virtual concert or concert is live, and so many of these are
Live.
pre-recorded right now. It
Yes.
has to be more conversation interaction than a chat box and throwing the emojis.
Right.
There has to be real time like engagement between the fans who are watching. So it's not just me typing into box, but me actually being able to see my friend and being like having that interaction while being with the artist.
Yeah.
So all of these things I think are really important to that concert experience. So where streaming is one thing, and then interactive live events are a completely different animal.
Right, because the what makes live streaming so magical and special is that you are there live, right there with the artist. If you type something in the chat box, the artist oftentimes acknowledges it, and you're now there. Everybody is having a different experience because of your actions taken and the artist's actions taken in the moment. But what you're referencing is the concerts that have been happening previously on these other, like on Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft or the others that have been hosting some of these concerts. And we're talking like big artists like Marshmello and Ariana Grande and Lil Nas X and Travis Scott have all done like big marquee concerts, but they called them concerts. They made a bunch of money from them, but they weren't actually there performing live. Like you said, they were pre-recorded. They created a avatar. It was almost like I was watching a video game happen of a digitized avatar, a giant Lil Nas X performing, quote unquote, but like kind of performing, but just dancing around with the song playing. And my avatar could be there watching this and kind of like run around with my friends, my other digital avatar friends happening. But what you're saying, what we haven't necessarily experienced yet, or maybe it is on Wristband, is where the artist is actually, their digital avatars are actually performing live right there and interacting with the crowd right there in real time.
Yeah, so I guess there's super quickly to go over the ones Fortnite. I think they're great examples because people read so much about them in the
Right.
media. So the Marshmello one was still like an artist on stage. So it was like, okay, we're doing a concert. That's how
Sure.
it is. And then with the Travis Scott one, they're like, oh yeah, we're in a game engine. So they like turned off gravity. They had these underwater scenes. And then Ariana Grande's was almost like an interactive music video. So you had a little bit of agency, which agency is the ability to control and be able to make decisions. But it was still on rails, which means like you couldn't change how it went from start to end.
Got it.
So with Wristband, a lot of what we learned comes from live events, but also the gaming worlds. And it's all about experience design, which is everything from the way you build the world, the way you onboard the people or their audience coming in. Do they know what to do? Like you go to a lot of metaverse platforms and you arrive, and you're like, hey, like I've got no idea what I'm supposed to do next. So that whole thing of like having those cues so people can get to where the artist is. We also realize like with technology, we're at an amazing point now where we're just at the intersection of so many of these great things happening, but we're also like 1 or 2 years away before these become easy. So that full volumetric capture, one of the reasons they do it pre-recorded is because it takes a lot of, I guess, capacity on your computer to live stream, which is essentially like break the experience.
Yes.
So it's not possible yet to do that, like upload live stream. So we are thinking, how can we make it accessible to indie artists? So not have this like $20,000 volumetric capture sequence that's processed over time.
Right.
And how can we also make it more than a 2D video? So we did AMAs, so Ask Me Anythings. We had an interview DJ Toby Lynch, who's also a radio host on Amazing Radio out in LA. We had a couple bands come in and they released some music videos that were only being dropped in Wristband for the first time. And it's held with like, we did smaller prototype events. This is before we like launched our alpha even. We had about like 50 people come in and be our little experiment group. And we had like, we also had live actors come in. So the band lead actually like wrote a story about this world. And when the fans are coming in, they'd like help. First of all, they played a couple roles, which was onboarding people, so helping them go around. The host would like welcome people in the world so that, hey, like, Ari, I love that necklace you're wearing today. And then the person would be like, oh, like, I belong here. So that was just about creating the atmosphere and like making sure people were like, you know, getting, I guess, just having fun time. So no rage quitting, which is, I guess, a term that gamers will know when something's frustrating. They just like press escape and go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that was really fun. We learned a lot about doing like these different interactive narrative lines, content drops, like video plays that were only available on Wristband, and then like the audience would have a chance to speak with artists about the creative process and what their song was about after. And then also had more intense themes, which is deciding like which song to unlock. So they would be like 50 people, and we'd suddenly like turn on these little tokens around town, and people would have to like there'd be two different types, and people would have to like choose which one they wanted to unlock. So at the end of 3 minutes, like the one that token had the most tokens collected would unlock that part of the story next.
Oh, fun!
Or they'd have to like
That's a
make a
choose your own
moral
adventure
choice.
scavenger hunt.
Exactly, and everyone participated, so it was really really fun, and experimenting with a new medium and a new way for people to be engaged with the music, the world, and the artist.
So cool. I mean, I fully connect and relate because I do immersive experiences in LA for my 1970s throwback funk soul band. And so we have actors, we have a through immersive storyline. Everybody shows up dressed in 1970s outfit. And you don't know the person you're talking to if they're part of the storyline, if they're an actor or they're just an attendee. And a record label exec could walk up to you and just be like, "Hey, you got any blow?" And you'd be like, "Wait, what? Are you kidding?" It's like, "What do you think about these two lead singers? It should just be one lead singer, right? It doesn't mess around." And like now you're like having a conversation one-on-one with someone that's like kind of blowing your mind, but you don't really realize, are they part of the story? Are they part of it? And that's an enhanced concert experience because meanwhile, we have a 9-piece funk band just crushing it on stage. I'm a little biased. I front that and wrote the songs for it. But, we're like, you have a concert experience, you have a concert happening, which we all understand concert, but how do you enhance it and how do you actually immerse the audience a little bit more? That's in the physical realm. And that's starting to catch on. Some people call this immersive theater, immersive experiences. I think a lot of people understand immersive experiences when it comes to, Sleep No More is very popular in New York, or Meow Wolf has installations in Vegas like Omega Mart or in Santa Fe. Even like just essentially it's any kind of performance or interactive theater, essentially, like Tony and Tina's Weddings have been going on for a while. That's all in the physical realm. But now you're bringing that experience to the digital sphere. And so you have a digital avatar. And what you're saying is similarly, you're now immersed. You're more immersed in this. Because as you were talking through this, until you said you had actors that would interact and say nice necklace, I was just like, well, why is this better from just having a band sit in front of me on Twitch and just ask them questions via the chat box or whatever? But now the scavenger hunt, that's so cool, and choose your own adventure, and like you're saying, it's on rail, but off rail is just like, we don't know what's going to happen. It's based on how many tokens are collected, based on the people and what their actions are taken, and so it's all kind of interactive and immersive together. But now the benefit is like you don't have to leave your home. You can do this all from home on your computer.
Yeah, I think I don't like if I had the option between attending online or attending in person, I'd probably still want to attend in person.
100%.
Yeah,
me too.
But for people who I guess are like gamers and like might not be your typical festival goer, I mean, a lot of gamers absolutely love music and discover artists through music that's in their games. But I think again, like maybe like the band, when we're doing these prototype events, we have this guy in the Philippines who's getting up super early, and then there's this guy in Argentina, and like they'd never met before, but they went into this world and like they're like, hey, like you're wearing the same band T-shirt as I am, and then they started hanging out on social media, and like then the one guy brought his girlfriend, and like that was super cool to see this group that would keep coming back and like learn about the story and like want to know what's next, almost like a season as well.
That's
which Fortnite does too. They do.
Okay.
So this whole, exactly as you say, like Sleep No More, New York is one of the most incredible experiences, and I think it has all the elements of what an immersive experience should be. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons, except a live band.
Right.
Yeah. But we used actors because I mean, the whole technology behind the metaverse is really complicated, and
yes,
us being a small team, like we're 6 people. So Epic's, we won a mega grant from Epic Games, which has enabled us to have this runway to build wristbands. But at first, like we didn't have enough time to program the NPCs or like non-player characters, which are essentially bots that act as people within the platform. So that's why we use
Oh,
actors. So it's like a
I
last
didn't even
minute
know that
scramble.
existed. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Wow. Interesting.
yeah. So we're learning a lot, but I think the most important bit is as you kind of hit on is like having the spontaneity and like have people being able to interact in a special way that isn't the same as it's like different from the real world, but it's also like the experience is different from the experience you're getting in the real world. So you don't feel like you're
Yep.
missing out, but you
Yep.
can do something like an album drop or like, and we had a event a couple of weeks ago where we hid a different version of a band's track in Wristband, and people had 10 minutes to find it. And if they
Mm.
found it, they posted it on social media, then the band would send them that a code to download it on Bandcamp. So
Whoa.
that was really quite cool to see the band come up with that idea.
That's that's mind blowing. And you're combining all of this now because you're like the scavenger hunt exists within Wristband, within this world. You can find a code that you can then redeem in the real world to get the song on Bandcamp and actually now own that song in real life outside of the metaverse too, outside of this world.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Cool. So where and oh, to go back to Epic Games, you said that you got it's a so Epic Games, for people who aren't familiar, I mean they're the owners of Fortnite. They also just acquired Bandcamp actually. And so what is your relationship with Epic Games? I missed that.
Yes, they were one of the first teams that noticed what we were doing
Uh-huh.
and were huge supporters. And we applied for a mega grant, which is something anyone can
Mega Grant.
apply for.
Okay.
And they kind of championed our application process internally, and we received a grant
Cool.
to support building Wristband. And also, they have a number of really awesome partners who we've worked with. I don't think it would be wise for us to try and build every single part of the metaverse, so we're working with a lot of great
Sure.
people who are helping us do it. And I think that's kind of a part of the creative process.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So, unlike raising funds from a VC firm, I'm assuming Epic doesn't have ownership of Wristband. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. So, where is Wristband now? Because when I try to find stuff online about it and go, I registered on your form to be notified when I could be let in, but I couldn't find a way to even get on Wristband or anything like that. So like all these experiences that you're talking about where these bands run scavenger hunts or they did this and that, or how is anyone able to do that? If I'm an artist right now listening to it, I'm like, man, I want to do one of these parties inside Wristband. How can anybody do that?
Yeah. So the prototype events I'm talking about, we did about 10 of those last year.
Okay.
And then we had the grant. We formed the company only in September last year, so this has been like a wild ride.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then we received the Epic Mega Grant in January. We hired our dev team, and then we had 6 weeks to get our alpha, which is like an in development version of our platform ready for South by Southwest launch.
Cool.
And our team delivered. It was pretty nerve wracking, but they really pulled through and created an amazing experience. We also included a lot of 81 NFT artists. So we had two of the
What does
biggest
that mean?
NFT marketplace. So NFT artist is just like a digital visual artist that mints their work on the blockchain.
Okay.
So instead of just having, I guess, digital art, an NFT would be a digital art that's registered on the
Oh right. I'm
blockchain.
sorry. You said 81. Is that a
Oh,
you?
just the number of artists.
Oh, got it. I thought
Yeah.
I thought it was the letter A, the letter D, one. Sorry. Okay, continue. You had
No,
eighty-one
that's
NFT
super
artists as
creative.
part of this. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
We had the 81 artists, featured in our platform. We had OpenSea, Rarible, Super Rare retweet our open call for content. So we had
Cool.
thousands of submissions. We
Amazing.
couldn't have them all included this time just because of the time about like putting the artwork
Sure.
in and placing it carefully. So that was great.
It
We
looks
had
great. I if anyone
Mhm.
is wondering to like visit Wristband's Instagram, and I saw kind of some of the displays of how you displayed some of those those NFTs within your world. And kind of you could walk around the world and see these NFT displayed and have a soundtrack that was playing. I mean, it was a really nice experience and it was really stunning actually. So they did a really great job with designing that.
That means a lot. I think so.
Yeah.
You kind of tapped on like a lot of the problems of the existing metaverse, which is it's clunky, it's ugly, it's like hard to get to.
Hmm.
So those are definitely things we're trying to work on. So after our alpha launch at South by, we have community events now, and that's because we're in development. We're working through a lot of tests and experiments, and like working with the different models and partners. We make announcements in our Discord. So our next event is May 22nd.
Hmm.
So I think our Discord is listed on our Twitter, on our website, and I think
I'm gonna pause you there. I tried to get on the Discord from your website. That link is expired, so you have to update your
oh,
Discord link on
I will
the
do
website. Maybe
that.
Twitter is more up to date. I was like trying to get on
Yeah.
the Discord, but every time I clicked the link, it said the link is expired, and then it wasn't working. So somehow I'd like to get on your Discord to check out and hear
Okay.
more about these events coming up.
I'll update that, and
Okay,
we'll send you a
thanks.
fresh link. But yeah,
Thanks.
so that's where we're making our announcements. We're going to have like wristband festivals in the fall of 2022.
Cool.
So I guess if people looking out over our Discord, there will be open calls. So a bit more about the way wristband is set up. If you think about a city, so whether that's Los Angeles, New York, Austin, where South by Southwest was,
Hmm.
you have like the downtown city center. And that's where you have like some curated experiences, maybe some brand partners coming in or like bigger labels. So that will like kind of attract a crowd because you
Hmm.
don't sell out like any festival that no knows the artist of. So that's a nice way of bringing in some audience. And then you have Middletown, and this is where you have like your indie and your up and coming, and like maybe like artists who like have kind of done a couple tours. And then on the outside we have the underground, and this is more like anyone can be a part of this space and like hone their craft, maybe do auditions, try and like create like the next amazing thing. So we're going to have applications for that where we're going to say, these are the things you can do, create an application, show us like, blow our minds, and then that space is yours.
Cool.
So the whole idea is having this like balanced, accessible system throughout the whole design of wristband.
Well, let's talk about getting an Ari's Take stage together for this wristband festival. I'd love to be a part of that, and we can curate some great programming for it. That sounds great.
We'll have to have you host in there.
Love it. Let's do it. Cool. Well, this is great. And do you have plans? So with the festival, I'm assuming if you're in the Discord, you'll get notified on how you can either attend the festival or audition or to perform or submit, rather, to be part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason why we're doing it this way at the moment is because we want people to have a great time every time they go into wristband. While we're
Hmm.
doing the development, we want to have the doors open, kind of like a venue door in the real world, where it's like when nothing's happening, the doors are closed. That's when we're working behind the scenes, like doing
Got
all the
it.
bookings.
Yep.
And then when the doors are open, you go in and you have a great time, and the doors close and you want to come back because you had a great time. So
Great
when you go
analogy.
into like
Makes sense.
Decentraland or like other platforms, you walk on in, it's like ghost town. So
Yep.
you just leave. So that's
Yep.
kind of the approach. We'll work up to being a first assistant, always doors open, but I think at
Hmm.
the beginning it's important. We're really focused on creating great experiences.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Decentraland, and they, I mean, famously, they're not owned by a company or person or anything like that. It's you know, Decentraland is what it's called. It's like it's a decentralized metaverse. What is the structure, the ownership structure of Wristband?
Yeah, so I think we can talk a bit about the difference between decentralized platforms and
Hmm.
centralized platforms, and like
Hmm.
decentralized being Web3 and on the blockchain and distributed ownership. So
Hmm.
there's certain elements of wristband which we want to have decentralized, like the ownership of goods. We want those to belong to the artists. Maybe there's some venues that belong to those venue owners, so we
Sure.
don't own that. But there's other things I think is really important that we do have ownership over and control over, and that is centralized, which is the mechanics of the platform,
Okay.
because that controls the experience. So again, when you go into, let's say, the sandbox or Decentraland, those different parcels of land are actually owned not by the platform exactly as you said, but by the owners.
Hmm.
And we have this really interesting thing happening where people are buying land to invest in it, but not to
Right.
play or be a part of the community on that platform. So that's also something we want people who are going into wristband to be a really active part of that community. So that's why we have this concept of during our festivals, there's certain parts that like are leased or given to certain people for that time period, and then it comes back into our control. Or there's certain areas that are accessible to everyone. So in that way, we can always, again, make sure that the platform is maintained and developed and active instead of these like empty lands that are just hanging out to accrue value as their scarcity increases.
Right. I mean, famously, Snoop Dogg, you could like own the plot of land next to the plot of land that Snoop Dogg owns for like $4 million. It's crazy. It's like real estate in the real world. I mean, it's all about the location and I don't remember which platform that was on. But either way, that's nice to hear. And so it's not just going to be these squatters coming in and trying to buy up everything and speculate on what's going to rise and fall and just like try to make a quick buck, which, we saw that in the early stages of of NFTs. Just a lot of speculators, just a lot of people buying and selling. Even in crypto, it's just like, the original concept of cryptocurrency was to actually be used as currency, not to be traded like stocks. And now that's essentially what it is. It's like you buy crypto as part of your portfolio and it rises and falls based on market. But that's getting away from the central focus and the idea of what the whole purpose of cryptocurrency is or was, and in some communities still is. But with this, you're saying that to maintain and not let it get away from everyone and to maintain kind of the usability. And so everybody has a good experience. And so it's not a ghost land. You're making sure that everything that you're controlling certain aspects to kind of hone the experience. So it's a good experience for everyone every time they come in.
Exactly. I also think that the technology is changing so much right now, and we've spoken a lot with our advisors and mentors about implementing token systems, because there's a lot of neat things you can do with tokens as incentive rewards, which is you have like people who are going to the underground in Ristband and discovering new artists, and they spend time there. Maybe we give them some token rewards for being a part of supporting these up and coming artists instead of everyone just going to the central.
Sure.
So you can create this like social and economic cycle that benefits those indie artists. But I also think right now, in terms of regulations with the market, with trust, it's a lot smarter for us almost to implement like credits that aren't blockchain related.
So when you said token rewards, are you talking about you would give them NFTs, or do you have your own cryptocurrency that you'd be awarding them crypto that they could trade in for dollars, or essentially you trade in for NFTs or something like that?
Yeah, so if we launched our own cryptocurrency or token, which would be on an existing network, let's say Polygon, we love them because they're environmentally friendly. That would enable us to have a separate economy within Ristband. Okay. But again, we have a lot of the same thing with land, which is people are buying these tokens and holding on to them just for investment purposes. So for us to have this really vibrant community flourishing within the platform, experimenting with different rewards that aren't crypto related, and that also makes things more accessible. In year 3 and year 4, that's more when we're looking to launch our tokens so that we have a really great understanding of who our community is and how we can best support the creators in our platform.
Great. Yeah. I mean, any incentive to help people discover emerging artists, I'm all for. So I'm sure you guys will experiment with that. And the fact that you have your co-founder as a working artist, I appreciate that is going into a lot of the decision making too, and that's kind of at the forefront of everything you're thinking about. Well, this has been an incredibly fascinating conversation, and you did an amazing job at breaking this down in lay terms for people that don't really understand anything about crypto, metaverse, NFT, Web3, all of that. And now I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to attend the Wristband Festival and just see everything that you're working on moving forward. To support artists and the music community and make it fair and equitable, and just provide another way for artists to earn from their craft and their music and their audience, and that's it's a really noble cause. It's very appreciated and it's very needed. So thank you for that. I have one final question that I ask everybody who comes on the show, and that is, what does it mean to you to make it in the new music business?
I feel like it's my goal to help all the artists make it in the music industry, and I feel like I don't feel like I'm quite qualified yet to be in the music industry, since I'm still learning the ropes. But
sure.
I guess I can describe a couple ways I'd feel about this new emerging frontier, which is you have to be like brave, you have to be collaborate with others, you have to be super creative, you have to be optimistic, strong, and like it's all about innovation and like sharing ideas about what the future could be. When we had the internet first emerge, it was an opportunity to connect the world and like bring people together and have freedom and like have our voice and like make the world a better place. And I feel like Web3 and the Metaverse is kind of a new opportunity to make an impact on the world, not just in music, but across everything from like inclusivity, diversity, supporting artists, because creative culture is so important to our day-to-day lives. If we think about like the best moments in your life, it's probably soundtracked by a song, and every time you hear that song again, you're going to remember that special moment. So music is really critical to I guess how we exist as people and how we feel. And I also, like, when I was watching your music videos, and you're like a pro at the loop, and that was really neat because it got me thinking, like, this whole metaverse is like different loop pedals or like different buttons on that machine. And
sure,
I'm not the one who makes it beautiful. I'm just maybe the looper maker, but I'm giving the tool to artists, and you guys are making something beautiful with it. So I guess I'm here to be inspired by what everyone is doing in this new and emerging space.
Anne McKinnon, thank you so much. It's great.
Thank you, Ari.
Today's episode was edited by Maxton Hunter, theme music by Grassroots District, and produced by all the great people at Ari's Take.